2 balls and a strike to count on Taylor. Reyes fires, swinging a drive, deep left field. This is way back. Walker Buehler.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into DodgerHeads, presented by DodgerBlue.com. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined today by Matt Moreno. Back from vacation, Matt. And this is not the news that I was expecting to, or hoping to, return to. Reports come out yesterday that Walker Buehler is out for the 2022 season. We'll get into what does this mean for the future, but the simple facts of it are he has been out since June 10th. He is now scheduled to go season-ending elbow surgery on his right elbow on August 23rd, according to Fabian Ardaya of The Athletic. He took some recent MRIs. Those were not conclusive. Doctors end up recommending surgery for that. The kicker, as I've kind of hinted at, they haven't said it's Tommy John surgery. They also can't say for certain that it's not going to be Tommy John surgery. Were you surprised by this news? Where were you at when you heard Buehler officially from the team account out for 2022?
Yeah, I mean, I guess not. I wouldn't necessarily say surprised. Obviously disappointed. And for me personally, like when I've been on with you over the past few weeks and leading up to the trade deadline, I kept saying, hey, like, I think they should trade for a starting pitcher. And one reason was you're putting a lot of eggs in one basket if you're counting on Buehler and Kershaw and Dustin May all sort of returning and contributing. And so now, like, here's the first domino to sort of fall. I know we'll get into Dustin May a little bit. And even, Clayton Kershaw, there have been some encouraging reports over the past few days. So that's good. But with Walker, I guess, not entirely surprised, to hear Dave Roberts speak with reporters in Milwaukee on Monday. He said, we gave kind of rest and rehab a shot, which to me sort of seems like privately they knew going into this entire thing, whatever the injury is, that it was a toss-up and there was no real guarantee, as much as they were trying to exude optimism publicly.
Yeah, and Roberts, I believe, made some comments about the Tommy John question, because that's something that, immediately I hear elbow surgery and I'm like, that sounds like he's going to miss all of 2023. Again, the MRIs were inconclusive, and therefore it sounds like we're going to get in there and see how bad it really is and then figure out how long he's going to be out. But it sounds like Roberts is optimistic. What did Dave Roberts say?
Yeah, so he was asked if it's Tommy John, and he said he doesn't think so. Basically like probably not type thing. But I mean, and then he circled back to like, we're not really going to know until the operation is basically happening, which I guess I could kind of understand, but also like just seems strange to me. But there's a lot going on. If you want to, obviously his injury that you alluded to in the opening was the flexor tendon strain. Then while he's recovering from that, oh, by the way, he had surgery to remove bone spurs from his right elbow, which wasn't going to impact his timeline, and it's something he'd been pitching through for multiple years. So it's tough to say. Obviously, everybody's optimistic and hopeful that it won't be Tommy John, but we'll know, I guess, in a week.
Yeah, and he is still under team control for 2 more seasons, so even if it is Tommy John, this would not be the end of his Dodgers career, although it would leave basically 1 full season before he would become a free agent. And so the follow-up question then becomes, what does this mean for the Dodgers? You hinted at the Dodgers did not go out and acquire a starting pitcher. They were linked to Luis Castillo and Pablo Lopez, among others. They did not pull the trigger on that, and you were advocating for it. I was saying I was good with the group that there is, and we'll see. One of us is going to be right, one of us is not going to be right. But looking at the Dodgers and where they're at, you kind of hinted at a couple. The first is Clayton Kershaw, out currently on the injured list. What's the latest on Clayton Kershaw? I know there's sort of some mystery because it's a back and you don't know how, there's not a standard timetable for what he's dealing with. But what's the latest on Clayton Kershaw? And then Dustin May, who I believe is scheduled to start for the Dodgers this weekend.
Yeah, so let's start with Dustin May just because I feel like he may be easiest. He's coming back Saturday to start against the Marlins. He's done 6 rehab starts. He began that at the Arizona Complex League with those Dodgers facing low level minor leaguers, but a good beginning for him. He was obviously coming back from Tommy John and being out for a while, but then he did 5 starts with Oklahoma City. His last one was on Sunday. 10 strikeouts. He had an immaculate inning, so he looks good. Dave Roberts said he's going to be probably about 5 innings, 75 pitches in his first start, and then they'll kind of go from there. I think what's good is, because I wasn't necessarily sure about, is how quickly Dustin May built himself up to basically a full workload upon coming back. I thought perhaps it was going to be a little bit shorter and they'd have to sort of stretch him out over September. So that's that on that front. Now with Kershaw, Obviously, still some uncertainty. I mean, I wouldn't expect him back before September. I don't think the Dodgers need him before then
Yeah.
anyway. The good news is over the past, I would say, 5 days or so, every report about his demeanor has been that he's in good spirits, which means obviously the back pain is sort of going away. He did receive another cortisone injection, which alleviated some of the pain and discomfort he was feeling pretty much right away, as opposed to the last back injury that didn't happen, and so it delayed when he was able to start playing catch and throwing. So for now, this case, he is on a throwing program. He hasn't gotten off a mound yet, but he's certainly active and getting his arm moving, which is a great sign.
Yeah, I mean, that's good news for the Dodgers. Obviously, like you said, May due back. Clayton Kershaw, some optimism. I would say there wasn't a ton of optimism for me when that came out. But even looking at the rest of the rotation, I actually don't think this is going to be the end of the world. As we've mentioned, Buehler has been out since early June. And so here we are 2 months later. The Dodgers have the best record in baseball. They're on a historic stretch as we speak. And they've been doing all of it without Walker Buehler. You look at the guys that they do have. Julio Urias has looked the part of a number one pitcher. His ERA is fourth in the National League, seventh in baseball. His last 6 starts, how about this? 38 innings pitched, 4 earned runs, and 37 strikeouts compared to just 4 walks. Absolutely dominant stuff. The velocity is ticking up from Urias, so you've got a guy who could be a front-of-the-line starter. Behind him, you've got Tyler Anderson, who's 14th in the major leagues in ERA. 4 of his last 6 starts have been scoreless. 8 of his last 9 have been 6 or more innings. You've got Tony Gonsolin behind him. We know he struggled in July. Back-to-back great starts, though. 11 and 2/3 innings over those two. A .77 ERA, a .77 WHIP. So you've got to be encouraged there. And then you've got Andrew Heaney, who's returned a few weeks ago. The 4 starts since he's returned. Just 15 and 2/3 innings, but a 1.72 ERA, a 1.15 WHIP. More than nearly 11 strikeouts per 9 innings. It's still on an innings cap, it looks like. 4 and 2/3, the most he has thrown. Did leave his last start after taking a ball off the arm, but it sounds like he's not expected to miss any time with that. And so you've got those 4. You've got Dustin May. There's 5. And even Ryan Pepiot. Look, Pepiot is not going to be a guy you want starting in the playoffs, but if he's your 5th or 6th starter for a stretch run for a team that has a 50-game lead in the division, that's fine. And so I look at this group and I basically say, with Anderson, Urias, Gonsolin, Heaney, and May, you're 2 injuries away from really being in trouble. And that's assuming Kershaw doesn't come back. As long as you have 1 injury or less, even if Clayton Kershaw doesn't come back, you've got 4 guys that I would say you feel okay about heading into the postseason. And then on top of that, I would just add that the bullpen has been incredible. And so even if you're starting pitching, is it a B-plus level? The bullpen has been fantastic. I love this stat from Dodgers Insider. David Price, Caleb Ferguson, Evan Phillips since the All-Star break. 29 and 2/3 innings combined, just 1 earned run. You've got Trinan due back soon, Gratterall due back soon. And so I think the starting rotation is going to be good enough, even if they sustain another injury. Add in an unbelievable bullpen and an unbelievable offense around them. I'm going to be honest, Matt, I'm not worried about this. Am I crazy?
Not completely. I mean, I guess like it's tough to say because it comes down to like what were the expectations for Buehler if and when he was coming back. For me, the way things were going and kind of the timeline, I thought maybe he's going to get built up to being like able to go 4 innings in a start type thing. And hey, like if he's 4 innings and he's pitching well for those 4 innings, the Dodgers will take it, right? Like he's a little bit more than an opener, not quite a full starter, but it would work. I think what concerns me is if you look, like the postseason schedule just came out, and especially once you get into the NLCS, if the Dodgers advance the travel days, the off days, however you want to look at it, were eliminated later in the series, and so that could get a little tricky if you're running into situations where you're getting short starts for whatever reason, 2 or 3 times in a row.
Yeah,
we haven't really seen that. I mean, Anderson and Gonsolin have definitely improved in being able to provide length, and so that's good. So. Not completely, but I'm from the standpoint. I look at it from the standpoint of, hey, like I think the Dodgers would have been better off having an abundance of very good pitchers available, and then you figure it out from there, as opposed to being like, well, we don't have Walker Buehler, we didn't necessarily trade for a starter, but we think with these guys we could make it work.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm just looking at it. If Julio, Anderson, Gonsolin, and May are my 4 postseason starters, assuming there's not an unbelievable drop-off in the cases of Anderson or Gonsolin, which, to be fair, Gonsolin has not pitched this many innings before. Anderson has, but has not pitched this many innings at this level of success, and yet I'm banking on the Dodgers having figured something out and thinking this is sustainable. So if those are my 4, I actually feel pretty good about things. Move Heaney to the bullpen, and if, like as you said, if you need a 5th starter at some point, Heaney's probably going to be the best 5th starter. And look, Heaney's got like a 1 ERA on the season, so maybe I'm shortchanging Andrew Heaney, and he belongs in those 4. But I guess I'm looking at those 5, and that's if Kershaw doesn't come back. If I can get anything from Kershaw, if the encouraging reports are to be believed, then Kershaw gets thrown into that mix, and all of a sudden I feel even better about things. Again, the bullpen is going to be deep. It's going to be strong. There's going to be guys in the bullpen that can give you some length, and so I just look at that group as a whole, and with Walker Buehler having been out for 2 months, I'm with you. The expectations were low. I joked 2 months ago that maybe he comes back as a reliever. I was not banking on Walker Buehler being the front of the line postseason starter that we've seen in the past. And so with this news, I would say I am not surprised, and it doesn't change how I feel. Now, if 2 of these guys get injured and Clayton Kershaw doesn't come back and Ryan Pepiot all of a sudden is your 4th starter, then I'm going to look like a fool and have been wrong, and you will have been right. But I think if these 5 guys, if you can get 4 of them, plus maybe Kershaw, to the end of the season healthy and rearing to go, then I feel good about things. And so that's where I'm at. Let us know what you guys think below. I mean, are you surprised by the news with Walker Buehler? Did the Dodgers make a mistake by not trading for a starting pitcher at the deadline? As I said, let us know in the comments below. That's Matt Moreno. My name is Jeff Spiegel. As always, we appreciate you joining us. This has been Dodger Heads, presented by DodgerBlue.com. Be on the lookout. Live post-game show Friday night, and then Matt and I are going to be starting a new thing for the remainder of the season. On Sunday nights, we will be going live. So the long-form show that usually gets posted on Mondays, that's going to be a live recording Sunday nights at 9 p.m., so join Matt and I for that. We've got some live watch-alongs coming up. We've got some new video content coming next week. All sorts of exciting stuff for the stretch run, so we're excited to be with you. Again, we appreciate you joining us. We'll see you next time. This has been Dodger Heads. Take it easy.